out there, that's the Patrick Mission. I'll take a shot at that.
That's the way we used to get in.
Ah, okay, and they've barbed
Well, we
wired
used
it up.
to get in here and they put this on.
Right,
So then we used to get in here and around
of course, yes.
and they put another bit on. And then
Yeah.
we went further and came back around. And each
Right.
time we went further, they went further as well.
This is all really become an issue now. I know that in August of this year the appeal to on board Planala, the decision is due, but at the core of it, Roadstone are planning. What they hope to do is put 12 truckloads every 15 minutes for about 12 years to fill up a quarry here that is 12 acres. It's 28 meters deep.
That's right. A clean, clear,
Yeah.
drinkable water
Wow.
that has in it its own wildlife.
Right.
And that's interesting. We've seen newts, cevets. I haven't, but I've witnessed who've seen them. I have seen the frogs mating. I've seen the frogs spawn, and I've seen the tadpoles. Not alone, but with other people with me. And there's a gentleman who has pictures of buzzards, and all those people will be signing affidavits if necessary, or letters of statements of fact. So there's no way they can save that if they're going to take away the water. Now the frog is a protected species,
Okay.
so I don't know how to get around that particular one.
Right.
The frog in Ireland's under threat all the time at the moment, and this is just a further threat now in this particular area.
Now the timetable of them now, they've really gone to town on you said yourself, there's cameras here now, they've barbed wired up any kind of entrance. Obviously they've grown more and more concerned about the possibility of people, you know, like yourself, who would be not particularly fond of their move here, what Roadstone are doing. When exactly did all this sort of security really kick in? Is it only been in recent months, or has it always been like this?
No, it's
or?
been the last few years.
Okay.
It's not so much that they want. I think the main issue here is the lake is very hard to see from here.
Right.
So the public haven't got access to it and cannot see it except from the Sugarloaf Mountain itself.
Okay.
So as far as Roadstone are concerned, I should imagine their best bet is to keep it hidden, out of sight, out of view, out of the public mind.
Right.
And then they can have freeway more or less to do what they want to do. Our main objection is to stop the destruction of the lake, which will give us time to organise the possibility of developing its fantastic potential as a public amenity for this generation and for every generation to come. The lake here is so scenic when you see it. It really is. It's the jewel in the crown of the Sugarloaf Mountain. There is no doubt about that whatsoever. There is no greater jewel in the crown of this mountain than this lake. And to destroy it means, as far as I'm concerned, and maybe the public, very bad publicity for Roadstone, which gets all the contracts in Ireland for roads, public buildings, you name it. It gives a very bad image of a big bullying company. What I can say is, if Roadstone were to show a bit of magnanimity and donate, rent, sell, or give this site with a few million to the public for future generations to enjoy, and if it was called Roadstone Adventure Park, that would give Roadstone infinite publicity forevermore.
Sure. Yeah.
So
no, it would make
maybe that's the way we might help them to develop a public rather than a corporate conscience.
We should mention now that you yourself, for 42 years, you've been a diver. You've dived in this particular lake. It is a man-made lake, very, very beautiful. It's one of those sort of wonderful side effects that happen sometimes when man and nature kind of work together, and suddenly out of it comes something genuinely beautiful. When did you kind of first notice the lake itself, and what is it like down there?
Well, can I say?
Yeah.
I have used the lake for 2 seasons for training young people to dive.
Right.
And I've brought people here who are involved in venture sports, and because it's so hard to see, and they turn the corner here and right away there's this huge vista of a 12-acre lake. They think they're in heaven. They say, my goodness, this is the greatest, smallest, best scenic lake in the whole of the county.
Right.
Not in the whole of the country, but definitely in this county is the best and most scenic lake. There's no doubt about it that it's supporting all kinds of wildlife, and there's no way that can be preserved. if they fill in this lake, that will be destroyed forever.
And what about Wicklow County Council must recognise, I mean, there's a huge value, of course, in the fact that Wicklow is a tourist area, that our natural beauty is one of our, you know, strongest suits. I don't know whether they themselves, you feel, are turning a blind eye to the situation, or whether you think, whether they are aware of the value of this. It's not just like a kind of a few people like it. This would be a major kind of attraction to the town itself, to the county.
It would indeed, not just to the county, maybe to the country. This would have international interest. It's unique. It's so close to a capital. Now, all the politicians, all the TDs in the area, all the councillors in Wicklow, I have addressed them all on the issue and sent them all the documentation. Now, they are, of course, who couldn't be supportive of something so grand and something so good, but the problem is how to do it.
Right.
And the first way to do it is to make sure the lake is not destroyed before we can start on working how to do it.
Right.
And the way to actually do it maybe is to form a conglomeration of businesses, sporting organisations and council working together with Roadstone to make this possible for everyone for the future.
I know, as I said, your appeal to On Board Penala is due in August. How optimistic would you be? Do you feel that there's any kind of signs of an outcome already, or it's a completely up in the air?
Well, if I was an optimist, I would have given up like two other people gave up before me.
Okay, right.
They're on board now.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, okay, the most important thing for transparency and for the public to see what's happening is to have an oral hearing and not a hearing behind closed doors where no one can say anything and nobody knows what's happening.
Right.
It is absolutely vital that the hearing is an oral hearing. If it's turned down, then that's by far not the end of it.
Okay.
We need to move legislation, not just on this lake, not just on Roadstone, but on every quarry in every part of the country owned by anybody, whatever. And that kind of legislation should move to Europe, if not eventually internationally. The fact is, quarries can have a detrimental effect on localities. The public in the area should have involvement before it starts, they should have involvement as it's ongoing, and they should have a decision making in what happens at the end. That doesn't happen. We need legislation to make sure that does happen locally, nationally and internationally for the future. This is going to be a contagion for what can happen in other areas as soon as they develop.
Well, I'd say we'll keep our eye on this, and you know, we've lived here all our lives. That the idea that there would be something of that, you know, nature right here. That I'm sure I've seen it from the top of the Sugarloaf, and probably wasn't even aware that this was what it was exactly. I just assumed, you know, amidst all the beauty that we have around here, this was just another natural feature, and it would be a wonderful thing to think it could be preserved as it is.
It's another thing for you to do and see before you die.
Right, there you go.
We added to the list.
I think Max has been trying to get through that gate now for the last 5-10 minutes. I think he knows there's something beautiful in there.
The sign is over here.
Right.
It's put up by a businessman
Okay.
who's supporting it. One of the 5 businesses that's involved.
Supporting the actual your campaign or the Roadstone campaign?
Supporting the campaign to acquisition the quarry lake, or as we're calling it, quarry, Calorie Lake Quarry is what we're actually calling it.
Sure.
And the idea is to acquisition that for the community.
Great, well I'll take a picture of that, and also I know we're going to have an image of the actual lake because I'm dying to see it now, and we'll put that up. But what we'll do too, if there's any, I can include any kind of links, but also any contact details if people want to get involved, if they feel that they can help in some way, that just to spread the word. But certainly we'll keep an eye on this and keep spreading the word. Cool.